Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the January 30th, 2019 Pittsburgh Board of Education Legislative Meeting. Before we begin this evening, I'd like to ask everyone to turn off all cell phones or put them on vibrate. Would everyone please rise so we can salute the flag? At this point, I'd like to turn the mic over to Ms. Mercedes House for a presentation.
Thank you, Mrs. Wren. If we could have the board come up.
You want them facing or just facing that way?
Facing that way. January is School Director Recognition Month, and along with the Pennsylvania School Boards Association, we would like to take the time to recognize our school board members and their outstanding service to the children and citizens of this school district. To say thanks, tonight each board member will receive a copy of the book, Culturally Responsive Teaching and the Brain, Promoting Authentic Engagement and Rigor Among Culturally and Linguistically Diverse Students by Zaretta Hammond. Every member of Dr. Hamlet's executive cabinet has received a copy of this book, and tonight the board can use it as a resource as well. The book draws on cutting-edge neuroscience research to offer an innovative approach for designing and implementing brain-compatible, culturally responsive instruction. Little ones in their early childhood also made little flower pots, as you can see on the table, with their fingerprints on them. They just wanted to say to the board, thanks for helping me grow. At this time, please let's welcome Superintendent Dr. Anthony Hamlet for his special remarks.
Good evening, everyone. The Board of Directors of Pennsylvania Public Schools Association have proclaimed the month of January as School Director Recognition Month in this Commonwealth. Our 9 elected board members have carried out their responsibilities to educating our youth in a manner which has placed public education in the forefront of our educational systems, not only in Pittsburgh, but across the country. Each of these elected officials have distinguished themselves in their communities in this non-paid volunteer public service commitment. Their contributions should be recognized and appreciated by those who benefit from the workings of Pittsburgh Public Schools. I would personally like to thank the Pittsburgh Board of Directors of Education for their guidance, support, and service to the children, families, and community of the city of Pittsburgh.
Thank you, Dr. Hamlet. Now each board member will be presented with their book and their certificate. First up, Board President, Mrs. Linda Wren. Next up, First Vice President, Mr. Kevin Carter. He's on the phone. Second Vice President, Ms. Veronica Edwards. Representing District 1, Ms. Sylvia Wilson. Representing District 2, Dr. Regina Hawley. Representing District 3, Mr. Salahuddin. Representing District 5, Mrs. Terry Kennedy. Representing District 6, Mrs. Maura Kalida. And representing District 7, Ms. Cynthia Falls. We appreciate you all. This concludes this evening's special presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for that lovely presentation. Mr. Weiss, may we please have a roll call?
Mr. Carter? Mr. Carter? Okay. Ms. Edwards? Here. Ms. Falls?
Present.
Dr. Hawley?
Here.
Mrs. Kalida?
Here.
Mrs. Kennedy?
Present.
Mr. Udine? Here. Ms. Wilson?
Here.
Mrs. Wren?
Here.
All members present.
Thank you, Mr. Weiss. At this time, I'd like to ask Dr. Regina Hawley to share our core beliefs and commitments.
Thank you, President Wren. Our core beliefs for our school district directors. We will educate all children to their highest level of academic achievement. We will provide a safe and orderly environment for all students and employees. We will provide efficient and effective support for all students, families, teachers, and administrators. We will distribute resources in an efficient and equitable manner to address the needs of all students to the maximum extent feasible. We will improve public confidence and encourage strong parent-community engagement in the district.
Thank you, Dr. Hawley. Will board members please turn to the minutes? Tonight, we will be approving the minutes for December 19th, 2018 legislative session. Are there any corrections, additions, or deletions? I'd like to have a motion and a second to approve the minutes for December 19th, 2018 legislative session.
So moved.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
The meetings stand approved. At this time, I'd like to read the executive session statement. In addition to the executive sessions announced at the legislative meeting December 19, 2018, the board met in executive sessions on January 23, 2019, and immediately before this legislative meeting to discuss various personnel matters that may include but are not limited to administrative vacancies and positions opened and closed. The board does not vote at executive sessions. We'll begin this evening with the committee report on education and student performance that is before you, submitted by Ms. Sylvia Wilson, chairperson, and her committee. The report includes agenda items 5.01 through 8.18. If you would please turn to the agenda item 8.18, I'd like to give you the student suspension, transfer, and expulsion numbers for this month. A, 33 students suspended for 4 to 10 days. B, 12 students expelled out of school for 11 days or more. Before we go on, Dr. Hamlet, would you like to address the board?
Thank you, Ms. Wren. We'd like to pull 6.13.
Thank you, Dr. Hamlet. If there are no further questions, do we have a motion, a second, for a roll call vote on the committee report on education and student performance?
I have a question.
Mrs. Wren, I'd like for Mr. Weiss, our solicitor, to give us information on 8.14.
Thank you, Dr. Hawley. 8.14 is a resolution addressing the application of Career Tech Charter High School with a resubmission. The board received a presentation from Ms. Augustin and Dr. Dwyer, and this resolution, which is attached, reflects the information in that presentation, and the resolution before you is a resolution which denies the reapplication for the reasons stated within the resolution, and the application did not meet a number of the requirements of the charter school law.
Thank you, Mr. Weiss.
Madam President, may I ask a question?
Ms. Falls?
Could you explain how the yes and the no votes, what they mean, sir, please?
If you vote yes, you're voting to approve the resolution which denies the application.
Thank you, Mr. Weiss. Thank
If there are no further questions, do we have a motion, a second, for roll call on the committee report for education?
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Weiss, may we have a roll call vote on the committee report for education and student performance?
Mr. Carter? Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Ms. Edwards?
Yes.
Ms. Falls?
Yes.
Dr. Holly?
Yes.
Mrs. Kalida?
Yes.
Mrs. Kennedy?
Yes on the report as a whole, and I'm abstaining on agenda item 8.01 due to a conflict with my employment, and here's my memo.
Mr. Udine? Yes. Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Mrs. Wren?
Yes.
The item is approved. 8.01 is 8-0 and 1 abstention.
Thank you, Mr. Weiss. We will now move on to the committee report on business finance and MBE that is before you and submitted by Mr. Salahuddin, chairperson, and his committee. The report includes agenda items 10.01 through 12.06. There were no items pulled for further discussion at agenda review. Are there any questions or comments on the committee report on business finance and MBE at this time that were not answered? Oh, Ms. Verby Jones? Oh, Dr. Hamlet.
Thank you, Ms. Wren. We would like to pull 12.06.
Thank you, Dr. Hamlet. If there are no further questions, do we have a motion, a second, for roll call on the committee report on business finance and MBE?
So moved.
Okay. Can you mute that? Mr. Weiss, may we please have a roll call vote on the report on business and finance?
Mr. Carter?
Carter.
Mr. Carter?
Yes, I'm sorry. My phone is breaking up.
Ms. Edwards?
Yes.
Ms. Falls?
Yes.
Dr. Holly?
Yes.
Mrs. Kalida?
Yes.
Mrs. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Udine? Yes. Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Mrs. Wren?
Yes.
Report's approved unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Weiss. We will now move on to the Human Resource Report, item 13.01, that includes addendums A, B, and C submitted by Sylvia Wilson, chairperson, and her committee. Are there any questions or comments on the report? Ms. Kennedy?
Thank you. I'd like to recognize yet again, there's at least one PPS alumna in this that we're hiring, Ms. Lindsay Foreman, who I've known for on and off for a number of years, so I'm always happy to see our former students come back and in this case, become a teacher. So and as I've said before, I apologize to any alumni that I do not know personally, so I don't recognize your names, but anytime we have, it would be great if we could always point out our alumni, you know, if there's any way of doing that so we know we can highlight them, because I think it's a great encouragement. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Kennedy. Ms. Falls?
Thank you, Ms. Wren. I just want to make a comment on 13.01, Addendum C, with the paraprofessionals. I greatly support education. I greatly support their importance in the classroom. I wish them well, and I'm asking the administration to keep us updated on how that process is going on a regular basis, and I wish them well. Thank you, Ms. Wren.
Thank you, Ms. Falls. All right, Dr. Holly?
Yes, with sadness, I want to inform the public of the homegoing of Mr. Stanley Rideout, an employee of the district for many years. And I'm sure that at a later date, the superintendent will make a formal reading and acknowledgement from the district. But I didn't want his family to go without knowing that the board members, especially those of us who knew him, and the employees of the school district who knew him well, are very saddened to hear of his homegoing.
Thank you, Dr. Hawley. Our thoughts and prayers are with the family. Mr. Odine?
Thank you. I want to second the spirit of commemorating Stanley Rideout. But I also want to add to that list, unfortunately, another hero of public education and of progressive social work in the city, the passing of Mo Coleman. Mo passed away a couple days ago, and his funeral service will be tomorrow with another public acknowledgement on Friday. But Mo Coleman was a wonderful friend of public education and a friend to the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Odine. Again, our thoughts and prayers are with his family. If there are no further questions or comments, when we have a motion, a second for roll call on the Human Resource Report, that includes addendums A, B, and C.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Weiss, may we please have a roll call on the Human Resource Report with addendums A, B, and C?
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Ms. Edwards?
Yes.
Ms. Falls?
Yes.
Dr. Hawley?
Yes.
Mrs. Kalida?
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. Yes on the report as a whole, and I'm voting no on addendum B, A1.
Mrs. Kalida?
Yes, on the report as a whole, I'm be abstaining from payments authorized number 3.
Yes.
Okay. Mrs. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Udine? Yes. Ms. Wilson?
Yes on the report as a whole, no on addendum B, A1.
Mrs. Wren?
Yes.
Okay, report's approved.
Because of the end-of-year procedures, we do not receive a financial or controller reports in January or February. The board will receive reports for December, January, and February at the March 27th, 2019 legislative meeting. We'll now move to item 16.03, the EBE report. Are there any questions or comments on the report? Are there any announcements to be brought before us this evening that do not require a legislative vote? Ms. Falls.
Thank you, Ms. Wren. I just would like to announce that the alumni at Carrick High School is extremely involved and work very well with the staff there. And Friday was supposed to be an open house for the alumni. I'm not sure how they'll handle that now with the 2 days of school, but it was scheduled to run from 12 to 7. And I just publicly would like to thank them because they've asked me to participate in that event and add my presentation into their presentation. And I think it's a good sign that teams and all of us are here to work together and support each other. So I'm looking forward to whenever it is. I just want them to know that I lost lots of days of sleep doing my presentation, but that's okay. But anyways, I do want to thank them, And also, I would like to publicly thank them. They sent a edible arrangement in behalf of the board recognition. And I, again, think that's just another sign that we all are on the same page, and we all want to work together. And please, please pray for our military, the past, the present, and the future. My heart is just aching for parents and loved ones who lose their sons and their daughters and everyone. So please, let's pray that someday this can at least be lowered or, God bless, eliminated. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Wren.
Thank you, Ms. Falls. Ms. Edwards?
Each month I give a shout out for a District 9 school, and tonight I'm going to shout out Perry High School. And here are some of the happenings at Perry. The successful daily collection and distribution of cell phones to encourage more class participation and less distractions. December food bank distribution served 200 families. January 17th, they held a pep rally and senior recognition and winter athletics. Their staff played the boys in a basketball game. The staff won 31-30. The promotion of our own Mr. Anthony Ferguson from student data system specialist to project assistants. Their PSCC meetings are held once a month. The students attended a presentation of Hamilton on Friday, January 25th. Some of the options at the school include CTE programs, cosmetology, culinary arts, health careers, information technology, advanced placement courses, and JROTC. Pittsburgh Perry was selected by the Verizon Foundations as one of 11 schools from across the country to be awarded a grant to support using iPads in STEAM classrooms. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Edwards. Dr. Hawley?
Thank you, Ms. President Wren. I want to thank our arts director for allowing the students within our school district to attend the Hamilton play. It was simply marvelous. Yeah. And I want to say to the children, all of the children, all 2,700 of the students throughout Allegheny County, Beaver County, Westmoreland, children were very well behaved, very appropriate, but they had a wonderful, wonderful afternoon. So, and I also want to thank the superintendent for allowing some of us to attend that performance as well. It was simply a marvelous day. However, on another note, one of our schools did not receive appropriate bus passes this past month, and were not permitted to get on transportation. PennDOT, well, it's Port Authority. Let me take that back. Yeah. Port Authority bus drivers need to understand that when the district makes a mistake, or when they make a mistake in giving the correct passes to the students, we really want you to still allow them to get on the bus. So for some of them, this is the only way that they have to get home. And some of our high school students leave early in the morning in the dark, and they come home in the dark from doing different types of activities. So it is extremely important that we support our young people who live in the city. If there is a problem, we have a security office that is more than willing to support the bus drivers. I'm sure that our Office of School Performance is willing and able to help Port Authority as well, along with our student assistance program. So if you would please allow our children to get on the bus, and we will take care of any of the problems that occur with using the bus passes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Hawley. Mrs. Kennedy?
Thank you, Mrs. Wren. Earlier this week, the 2019 Hall of Fame honorees for Alderdice High School were announced, and this year's induction ceremony will be held on March 28th at 7 p.m. at Alderdice High School. And this year's honorees are Patrick Ball, class of 1983, who is a statistician, Jeffrey Ballot, class of 1985, who is a journalist, Daniel Borzutsky, class of 1992, who is a poet, Marcia Lily Blanton, class of 1972, who's a public health professional, and Edgar Snyder, class of 1959, who is an attorney. So I invite everybody who is able to go that night. I've been to these inductions in the past, and they do a very nice job. Thank you very much, and everybody, please stay warm. Thank you, Mrs. Wren.
Ms. Wilson?
I just would like to acknowledge the swiftness that our district does in providing the care and necessity to support the students and the staff when there are tragedies that occur. This past month, the loss of Jonathan Freeman, one of our outstanding students, and just playing a video game, not what you would expect to happen in your life. And our district and our staff does so much, and the students at Alderdice have been through a lot, and they themselves are to be commended on how they pull together to support each other as well. And I just thought it would take note, and once again, send our prayers and best thoughts to the family, the Dennisons, and our Liberty family as well, since that's where Jonathan's mother is a teacher. Thank you.
Mr. Udine. Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Mr. Udine?
Thank you. I just want to say thank you to the staff and the students who throughout the month, whenever we've been attending, visiting schools or attending other events, when the students have come forward with various kinds of thank yous that they themselves have made. It really does the heart, it warms the heart to receive a card that was handwritten by a student and delivered by the teacher. It means a lot to stop and say thank you. The board members here serve faithfully without compensation, and we do it for the students. And so whenever they get an opportunity to say thank you, it's deeply appreciated.
Thank you, Mr. Udine. Anyone else? Ms. Falls?
Thank you, Ms. Wren. I just want to add to what Dr. Hawley said, because I think the public needs to know. There were students there from like West Virginia and Ohio and all around the distant areas, but the people in front of us were from out of town. And I was very nice to them. They were from Cleveland. And so I really was nice. And they turned around and they said they've taken children and they've gone to, I think they're pretty much involved in the arts. And they said they had never, ever attended a performance where the students acted so respectful. There were times in that performance that you could have heard a pin drop with that place totally, packed or whatever. But it's just so nice. And the lady said to us, well, we don't know how you all were involved in Pittsburgh, but we're just saying, we just want you to know this. We didn't say we were board members. We just said we're from Pittsburgh. But it was so wonderful to have an outsider realize that our children can be respectful, that all young people aren't on the side of the law that's there to arrest them. So, big shout out to all of the kids and all of the staff that was there that day, because it was fabulous. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Wren.
Thank you, Ms.
Dr. Hawley.
Falls. Dr. Holly.
Real quickly, I just want to say the supervisor for art is Dr. Cruz. I didn't mention her by name, and I want to make sure that she gets her dues.
And I, too, wanted to thank her and Dr. Hamlet because I was at the performance, too. And to see the excitement in the students' eyes, and they were just thrilled beyond belief. And to think that there are probably many students who were there from far away or who wouldn't have the means otherwise to experience such a wonderful performance is really meaningful. So, yeah, and it's great for the city. It's great that the foundation that worked with the Hamilton production to be able to offer that. And I did want to also say something, extend my sympathy and our sympathy to Jonathan Freeman and his family, as well as the Alderdice community, because he meant an awful lot to the community, and I'm still hearing about, like, he was such a wonderful student and friend and classmate to so many people there. And just again, anything we can do to address the gun violence that's killing our students and just people in our community, anything you can do. I attended a rally in Harrisburg for ceasefire just because, enough's enough, and they're taking our babies away, and we just have to do something. So just try to keep his family and the Alderdice community in your thoughts, and also, if there's any way you can lend a hand to the cause, it would be greatly appreciated. I lost my place. Give me 1 sec. So if there are no more announcements, may I have a motion and a second to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. This meeting is adjourned. I'd like to call the January 30th, 2019 meeting of the Pittsburgh Mount Oliver Intermediate Unit to order. Mr. Weiss, can we please have a roll call?
Mr. Carter? Mr. Carter?
Here.
Okay, thank you.
Here.
Ms. Edwards?
Here.
Ms. Falls?
Present.
Dr. Hawley?
Here.
Mrs. Kalida?
Here.
Mrs. Kennedy?
Present.
Mr. Udine? Here. Ms. Wilson? Here. Ms. Wren?
Here.
All members present.
Will the board members please turn to the meetings from last month? Are there any corrections, additions, and deletions? I'd like to have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the December 19th, 2018 legislative meeting for the Pittsburgh Mount Oliver Intermediate Unit.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
The meeting stand approved. The committee report on business finance that includes agenda item 25.01 is before you. Are there any questions or comments that were not answered in agenda review? If there are no comments or questions, do we have a motion, a second for a roll call vote?
So moved.
Mr. Weiss, may we please have a roll call vote?
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Ms. Edwards?
Yes.
Ms. Falls?
Yes.
Dr. Hawley?
Yes.
Mrs. Kalida?
Yes.
Mrs. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Udine? Yes. Ms. Wilson? Yes. Mrs. Wren?
Yes.
Motion's approved.
Thank you, Mr. Weiss. Item 28.1 is the Pittsburgh Mount Oliver Intermediate Unit Financial and Travel Report for December 2018. Are there any questions or comments on the report? If there are no questions, I'd like to have a motion and a second to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned.